So during the quarantine right now, us musicians and writers have a lot more time on our hands to do a lot more writing. If you're a full-time musician, you may be completely out of work or be struggling to bring in as much income as you need. Times like these, especially when we're stuck in isolation, can be some of the best times to do a lot of writing. I've had a number of people ask me what my writing process is. It's really hard to nail down everything. A lot of it is instinctual. I'm actually working on a masterclass for that right now, if any of y'all are interested. But I think in particular, this one aspect, which is emotion, I think gets left out of the education process of music so often. So if we're going to be creating a composition, we're going to be creating music, what is music? Music is communication. I've talked about this before. What are we communicating? Information. What type of information? Emotional information. You are communicating emotions. You are manipulating someone to feel emotions by making music. Now, it's an interesting concept because there's many types of music that people either like or don't like. Is this because they enjoy the way that they're being manipulated? Is it because they don't enjoy the way that they're being manipulated? I would say probably yes in both circumstances. But what specifically about the manipulation don't they like? In some cases, it can be as simple as certain frequencies annoying your ear, but in other cases, it can be the actual emotion that it's making you feel by having the sound wash over you don't enjoy. Being very honest with yourself about how a specific song makes you feel can be extremely valuable when creating your own music. What does the song make you feel that speaks to you, that you sympathize with? What does the song make you feel that you have no connection to at all? Or what does the song make you feel that makes you repulsed by it? There are a lot of artists that I don't like, or a lot of artists that I love, and one of the reasons why you guys like to watch me is because I'm extremely articulate about why. A great example of this is my video, Dream Theater Does Pop Better. That video did a lot better than I anticipated, and I'm super happy it did. I give a basic breakdown of what's happening in the song harmonically, but what was really more important in that analysis, and I think just with music in general, is the emotions that I explained were being communicated. How tension and release were built and resolved. The emotion that you experience when listening to or creating music is paramount. The theory is more of a toolbox to get you to where you need to go. When you're creating music, it helps greatly to be in touch with and be very honest with your emotions. And it's actually an amazing tool for dealing with potentially destructive emotions. So here's some things you can do to improve your writing process that you might think are stupid on the surface, but honestly, they can be incredibly helpful. 1, keep a music journal. When you're listening to a track, write down or record yourself saying how it's making you feel. Be as specific as you can be. Write down all of the words that come to mind and do not be judgmental of yourself. If you listen to the song again, listen to it in its entirety again, go back to your notes, think about how you feel about it now versus how you felt about it back then. Make addendums to the notes if you need to make addendums about them, how you feel about it differently now. You will be surprised by what comes out of your head and how your tastes will mature and evolve over time. As well as keeping a journal of what you're listening to, keep a journal of what you're writing. That can be riffs, lyrics, rhythms, whole songs, whatever. And keep track of how those also make you feel. Make sure they're properly labeled and organized, otherwise your stuff's gonna get a little convoluted. Having this large group of musical ideas that may or may not be related to one another, seeing them labeled or explain what their emotions are, what you feel about them, could possibly help you connect like, oh, this one and this one make me feel the same thing. Maybe we could connect those somehow. It can help you marry two things together you would not have thought about marrying together before. It's possible that looking across this large group of musical ideas that you've journaled, that you're seeing one consistent theme throughout, and you're like, oh, all of my ideas are with this emotion specifically. Let's say it's like depression or something like that. That could be an indicator to you that your writing could be monotone and maybe you need to spice it up a little bit with a different emotion. Adding another emotional dimension to your writing is incredibly important if you don't want to get pigeonholed as kind of a stereotype. 2, be aware of how you're feeling on a daily basis and do self-check-ins. I know this sounds lame as hell, but it can be really helpful for your life and incredibly helpful for your music creation. Practicing identifying what emotion you're feeling at the time will help you more easily and more accurately identify emotions in the future. taking some quiet time away from things for just 10 minutes, just turning everything off, getting rid of the distractions, and just evaluating yourself, how you're feeling, can be incredibly helpful with this. Being able to more easily and accurately identify emotions in yourself will make it a lot easier when you're listening to music to know what emotions are being elicited from you. 3. Use the peak emotional times of your life as a time to create. Strong emotions are some of the most powerful inspiration you can have, and you will most likely write some of your best stuff when you are in the midst of them. Speaking from personal experience, if you got the instrument in your hand and you need a way of expressing this emotion, your hands and your fingers will find a way on the keyboard or on the fretboard of how to sympathize with what you're feeling. 4. Try to understand others and what motivates them or what they are feeling. Going along with this, listening to a broad swath of musical genres is the best thing that you can do for your music writing. There are genres of music that don't connect with us, or specific songs that just make no sense to us whatsoever. Understanding how other people live, understanding how other people feel, understanding why a person enjoys a song as much as they do can be extremely educational and important when you're trying to elicit an emotion from someone in a song and you're not exactly sure how to do it. It can add another perspective to your writing. It adds another perspective to your life in general, which is great. But specifically with the writing, it can really help get you outside of your own box, get you outside of your own bubble. Staying open-minded when you listen to something or when you're writing something is extremely educational. Staying open-minded when you're having conversations with people about music is also extremely educational. The music may not be something you enjoy, it may be something you even outright despise, but it does give you a window into someone else's perspective, and that is valuable regardless. When we're making music, we are attempting to communicate with others. That means that they need to be able to understand what we're communicating, which means on some level, we have to understand them to know how to communicate that. The 5th way is facility at your instrument. I know this may seem like it's not really appropriate to fit in here because that is such an emotionless art. Well, not all the time, but it can be. But the point is, it actually fits here really well. Having the skill to hit the notes that you want to hit, the way you want to hit them as quickly and easily as possible will reduce the time it takes for you to make that connection emotionally with your music. The more time you have to spend trying to find the right notes means the more time you are wasting when your inspiration has struck and you have the instrument in your hand. It also means you're going to be able to write more meaningful stuff quicker, and you will have a larger sound palette with which to dive into to see just how accurately you can capture the emotion you're going for. Simple power chords sometimes can be enough. Sometimes it works. Other times you need more colorful chords, or you need more counterpointed melodic phrases in order to get that feeling across. A great example is the song that I've been working on last week. It has a working title right now. This will be for our band Crusade. This is only a demo. This is still in the writing process. This is by no means finished. We're talking the bass guitar is just my 7-string, but down-tuned an octave. I mean, I did run it through my Line 6 simulated bass gear, but still. We're talking about fake MIDI drums. These are not going to be the final drums. The subject matter of the song, I don't really have one exactly yet. I don't typically do those when I'm writing music. I just kind of let it take me, and I figure that stuff out later. But this one, I was trying to think of the theme of forbidden love. So here, let's have a quick listen, and then I'll chat about it a little bit. Alright, so what prompted me to write that specifically? There's a couple of theoretical ground things that need to be taken into account. One, that lead guitar line is supposed to be a vocal. That is the vocal theme from the very beginning of the song that I use. This is kind of, I'm considering it a verse. The original vocal theme was just piano, one chord, and the melody would be sung, and then another chord. I'm using the same chord progression from the beginning of the song, altering it slightly, but the same basic chords are there. Basically, in my mind, I'm taking that raw emotion from the beginning of the song that was very simple, kind of dolce, but still very poignant and dark and sad, and refining it even further into something more intense. Immediately after this is going to be a chromatic walk up from flat 6 to 6 to flat 7 and then to 2 to 5. And then we're going to explode into the chorus, which I still have no idea what the hell that is yet. So the first thing I thought of was, where am I leaving off on the fretboard? I am leaving off about the 10th fret on this guitar right here. All right, so we're at the 10th fret. Let's start making stuff in D flat. So I go to familiar patterns for me. I start with the add 2 type of power chord. Kind of looks like this. What can I do with the facility at my disposal in order to, 1, get the emotion across I want to get across, and 2, be able to actually play it as easily as I can? If you look at the melodic contour of the original melody and the melodic contour of the moving voice in those chords, they actually line up pretty closely. This can give you, in this particular case, the idea that there's 2 parts within this subject that are not quite the same, but that are moving in tandem. They're both equally agitated, as I think is evident from the mood and performance of the piece, and definitely the timbre, but there is a consonance within their dissonance, within their aggression. There is something that is resonant with one another. The weaving of dissonance in and out, both with the overtones and with some of the chord voicings that I chose, with the bass guitar not matching up exactly with the chord tones of that 6 chord. And the fact that you have that 6 chord, which gives you that feeling of kind of longing for comfort in a sense, or longing for some type of resting place that's not where you were before. And then the sharp 7, natural 7, whatever you want to call it, in the bass, that movement there is just so dark. Especially moving up from the 2 higher voices, which imply a 5-1, even though we're still in 6. There is a consonance and a resonance between those 2 voices, but then another 2 voices start to get out of sync with one another, which gives you this feeling of chaos, of lack of control, a darkness, a poignancy, and something that on a very basic level I would describe as hurt. Deeply, deeply hurt. In the drums, I wanted the kick to be quite aggressive, not overly aggressive to the point where it's like bombastic barbarian aggression of just destroying you, but something that's definitely hitting at your soul, your heart. That's why I have the little skips in the kick like that. An aggressive drive that gives you that feeling of aggression, but still keeps the beat, still keeps a good groove. It's also why at the end I have a more active snare. It adds a little bit more poignancy to that specific beat of the riff. In my personal opinion, adding that little bit of aggression, which is somewhat of an anger, and that poignancy with the snare kind of gives you a little bit more of a feeling of agony with this hurt. The main melody itself is already very sad, kind of slightly nostalgic, but also sweet at the same time. There's a whole character to that melody for sure. And taking it from this early on stage of this kind of noir, kind of like Humphrey Bogart in black and white, smoking a cigarette on a rainy street corner in New York City, the whole way up to this almost like can't live with myself inside my own head type of feeling with that exact same melody, I think kind of illustrates my point. So let's listen one more time, and then you tell me if I'm full of shit or what you feel when you listen to it. You have all these rhythmic forces pushing and pulling you. These melodic forces pushing and pulling you. They're all very aggressive and demand your attention. It's like when my sister tells me I can't always listen to your music because it makes me feel anxiety. It's like, Yeah, I get that. There's a lot going on. It's very loud, it's very dense, and it tries to pull you in multiple different directions at the same time. So, do you think I accomplished what I was going for? Do you think I was completely full of shit? What did you feel when you listened to that? If you even liked it at all, you can tell me you hated it. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, if you like what I do on this channel, please hit that like button. Please share this video. YouTube has put the kibosh on my channel. My channel is quarantined right now. I will be making a video about that soon because it's complete bullshit. Supporting me on Subscribestar and watching our live streams on the weekends is the best way to help me because I don't make jack shit on YouTube ad revenue. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Become the Night. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video. Rock on!